So I'm here at Ferncliff Gardens, and Ferncliff Gardens is a dahlia garden. And I know that rose people and dahlia people are supposed to hate each other. No, that's not true. It's the rhododendron people we really have a problem with. I'm kidding. Mostly. I'm looking at Ferncliff here, and Ferncliff has been around for 100 years in the community of Mission, about 5 minutes, 10 minutes away from my own farm. And to call it a horticultural treasure wouldn't really be an over exaggeration on my part. This is amazing. They do specialty dahlias as a delivery crop that they mail order across North America, and peonies as well at times. I'll take you through some of the individual varieties as well, but I just wanted to give you an idea. So it got some suburban encroachment around it here. But the soil is beautiful Hatzic bench soil, deep and rich, and they get these wonderful dahlias out of it. And dahlias, unlike roses, not that I'm an expert on dahlias, but unlike roses, they bloom based on day length. So roses will bloom anytime you have enough sun and enough warmth. Whereas dahlias, they require, oof, look at that guy. They require a long day before they initiate flowering, which places their blooming period right into the late part of the summer, sort of August, September is when you get your best blooms out of dahlias. JS Jenny here, and I don't know if you can get it, but look at the orange, and then there's sort of like pinkish streaks on the blooms as well. So that's incredible. Now the other thing about dahlias is, and you know, I'm falling in love here, so that's you'll have to excuse me as I wildly swing you around the garden. But the other thing about dahlias is that they're not completely hardy to our climate. So famously, you have to lift them and divide them in the fall, put them into a cool place, but not a wet place, because if you left them in the soil here and we got sort of an Arctic outflow wind, you would end up with a mushy tuber at the end of the season. I'll try to include some detail on supplements and nutrition, so sorry, what you would add fertilizer wise to the soil to get this kind of a display. But isn't that incredible, the variation of bloom form? So I'm going to take you through some individual varieties here now, just to give you some idea of the size differences, the bloom form differences. Maybe I'll add some notations later to give you proper botanical names of the bloom forms, because I'm just going to go with like pom-pom and fluted and things like that as I talk, but that's probably not the proper way to discuss dahlias. So I'll take you through those now. And the progression of the bloom. Look at that one just starting to unfurl. This one here, still very tight in the middle, and then in all its glory, folded out. And this one's truly outrageously splashy. Look at the patterns on those petals. That is incredible. And this one, Colorado Classic, with a rather windswept look. That's very cool. Vary a lot in height as well as form. You can see this one here. It's probably topping out at about 3.5 feet. And very, very splashy. If I can get some of those markings on there and compare that to the background. Other ones that are up at 5 and 6 feet tall. Gorgeous Ferncliff bliss with those frosted tips. And what I was looking through there was their display garden for the dahlias, so we can shop through those. They also have their dahlia fields here, and you can see how many varieties they have out there in production. It's really quite incredible. And even if I zoom back out here and look across the street there by the house, they have more dahlias in production. I think just like any good horticulture nut, the owners here are not just focused on one or two genera, although they've specialized in dahlias, but I think they also do peonies, and of course if you look at their home gardens, it's full of other varieties of plants. So like me, they don't have much restraint, it appears. This is a variety called Gloriosa, and this is something that's interesting horticulturally speaking, is that there are reversions in plants, or sports. And you can see here that if you go way down there, coming from the same stem, you have this big red one and the standard color of Gloriosa on there. So it looks like it's just had a genetic reversion back to a previous form, or a sport to a new form, whichever way you want to look at it. And one might be more correct than the other. And how's this for high contrast? And I love the way this one is called Rothsay Reveller, has kind of varying patterns from bloom to bloom. So up here you can see the purple is much heavier on the top left, and down here it's a little splashier towards the bottom, and so it makes for beautiful color combinations. And here's a color pattern I can really dig. Look at that. All sorts of shades of yellow and orange and darker and more complicated, opening out to this. And if your tastes go towards the large and pure white and showy, this might just be the guy for you, Walter Hardesty. So around here in Mission, you could probably notice that disproportionately large number of people have dahlias in their gardens, and I'm not going to say that's much larger than anywhere else because they're popular everywhere, but here we have this world-class source of dahlias right on our doorstep, so people have availed themselves of that. And even around the town of Mission you can find a mural on the side of a building with dahlias on it, and it wouldn't be too far a stretch of the imagination to say that owes its painting to the existence of this place, Ferncliff Gardens. I hope you've enjoyed this little tour around the garden, and maybe it's inspired you to have a look into dahlias. If you have any questions, please leave those below the video.